Jaguars beat the Chiefs 31-28 in just a crazy ending to this one as Trevor Lawrence on the go-ahead game-winning touchdown gets his right foot stepped on by one of his offensive linemen. He stumbles once, stumbles twice. Still, I thought the play was dead, waste of a play, but instead he's able to get up and get to the outside and rushes in for the game-winning go-ahead touchdown as the Jaguars beat the Chiefs 31-28 on Monday Night Football. Julian, as our guest, I'm going to start things off with you. You called this one. So this was about what you expected. What were your thoughts from this game?
You would think the game was over when you look at the first quarter and it's 14-0. And all honesty, I honestly thought that the Chiefs were going to breeze by this game and control the game the entire time. But I had truth that Trevor Lawrence would deliver as he would last week when he played the 49ers. It was a fun game to watch because it was a fun game that they, got to come back, and knowing Trevor Lawrence, he's always been what I call a clutch player. But you would think the play was dead when he stumbled, over his lineman. You would think the play is dead, and I would honestly think that the game would be over. But you gotta have it for Trevor Lawrence, and it was a fun Monday game to watch. I got off of work and I was rushing to my house to watch the game, but it was a fun game to watch, man.
It was a fun game, and happy birthday to Trevor Lawrence, as Grey Wolf notes. So I guess his wish came true that the Jaguars were able to beat the Chiefs on Monday Night Football, as Grey Wolf notes there. But Kevin, obviously, for you and I, and I don't think Julian, I don't think many people in this world are Chiefs fans that aren't actually Kansas City supporters. But for 49ers and Eagles fans, the disdain for the Chiefs is a little extra after those 3 Super Bowls that the Chiefs have won in this decade. And so from your perspective, how did you feel about this one, Kevin? Because I, for one, as someone who has seen the Chiefs beat my team in the Super Bowl twice, I am here for their downfall. And they may still be able to get in the playoffs and make a run this year, but it's been a rocky start to this regular season for them.
Dude, I saw a tweet on Sunday, and it said, do we live in a world where everyone figured Patrick Mahomes out? Like, for him to go on that run, like Shaun mentioned, 3 Super Bowls, to go against a Tom Brady in a Super Bowl and lose, and then kind of just start that trend. Are we figured them out? The turnovers have been skyrocketed. You can just see from the first year as a starter to now, they've just been going up and up and up when you're supposed to get better in your prime. Rashee Rice is going to come back and make this team a lot better. It's hard to win games when Patrick Mahomes is your leading team in rushing. Pacheco is garbage. Kareem Hunt is garbage. And their defense is not showing up like they did last year. And my biggest concern with the Chiefs last year was they kept winning these one-score games. They kept finding a way to figure it out. They would always be in these tight games, and at the end of the game, you say Patrick Mahomes touches it last, they're going to win. When they kicked that field goal and it was 15 seconds left, I said, he's done it with 13. We've seen crazier shit happen. They're just not able to do that this year. It's so like coming off the season last year, having the most one-win games in NFL history, kind of rolls over. What they did last year, they were able to kind of make things happen. We've seen Spags really shake it up on the defensive end. They send the most blitzes in the league. Like, they're doing a lot of different things. Chris Jones is getting to the quarterback. They're just not doing that today. And now that I've given the Chiefs their due diligence, we got to talk about the Jacksonville Jaguars. Because a year ago, when I was a closet Jaguars fan, everybody laughed at me. Doug Peterson, he's going to get his guys to figure it out. Even though he's no longer the coach, I don't know why I said that. I knew he wasn't the coach. But Travis Hunter is finally coming into his own. We're finally seeing him get, 50-50 on offense and defense. He had a huge 44-yard catch. And getting him going early will open things up for Brian Thomas Jr., who has been struggling this year. And then the emergence of Brian Strange Jr., the tight end, or not Jr., just Brian
Strange.
Brenton Strange. Yeah. He's been balling out his ass, to have that security.
Well, he got hurt.
Yeah. We saw Evan Ingram last year with this team, how Trevor really uses that security blanket. So to add a guy like him who no one thought it was going to be anything. They traded Evan Ingram after having one of the best years of his career. We were kind of scratching our heads, but he stepped into this role perfectly. Trevor Etienne has been getting it going today. It was a little bit slow of a game, but overall, this Jacksonville Jaguars team is good. And when they made the playoffs last year, we all sat and blamed Trevor Lawrence. But they got a W. Yes, they were down, whatever it was to the Chargers. He single-handedly brought them back. So I remember a guy to my left, to the audio-only listeners, that means the guy with the hat on, his name is Shaun, said Trevor Lawrence is a bust. He shouldn't have gotten paid this much, Kevin. He hasn't done nothing. Now look at him. Beat Patrick Mahomes. That's an elite club. There's some guys, Lamar Jackson, that, 1-5. 1-6 if you count the playoffs. So everyone's not beating Patrick Mahomes. So to beat Patrick Mahomes and join that unique club goes to show that, maybe this Jaguars team is for real. And I, for one, cannot wait to watch them play the Colts to see who will be the winner of arguably the worst division of football.
That's the interesting thing about this, Kevin, and I'm really glad you said that there at the end, because going into this season, we were all saying the AFC South is an absolute dumpster fire. But the Jaguars, the Colts have both emerged as legitimate teams from that division. And then the Texans are saying, yeah, we had a terrible first 3 weeks, but don't forget about us. Yeah, we just beat up on the lowly injured Ravens, but the Texans said, hey, we're still here. And so that division is actually looking a lot better than we thought coming into this season, when we thought it was the Texans and everyone else, or even, as some people said, the Jaguars and everyone else. So that's what tonight's game really proved to me. And in regard to you mentioning the fact that I once said that Trevor Lawrence is a bust, I stand by that 10 toes down, unless he goes on to win a Super Bowl. I need to see a Super Bowl or a regular season MVP from Trevor Lawrence.
Games. He got to go straight to the Super Bowl?
The reason why I feel this way is you have to think of the expectations of Trevor Lawrence when he came into the NFL. He was said to be the next John Elway, the next Andrew Luck, the next Peyton Manning, the next great generational quarterback.
Yeah.
And so that's the thing of why I say Trevor Lawrence is a bust. Based on the expectations, he has been a bust to this point in his career. Congratulations. Put it on the resume. Week 5, regular season, Monday night win against the 3-time Super Bowl champion, Kansas City Chiefs, and Patrick Mahomes. But as far as his entire career so far, given the expectations that he had, even as a sophomore at Clemson, like we talk about all the time, how Toddy was saying that Caleb Williams going into his junior year would have been a top 15 quarterback in the NFL already. But a lot of people said that about Trevor Lawrence when he was an underclassman at Clemson. And then we had to wait the 3 years, and he finally comes in the NFL, and he just hasn't been the sky-high expectation that he was given. And is that his fault? Not necessarily. He's not the one saying, hey, I'm going to be one of the greatest of all time. But given the expectation level that we had coming into his career for Trevor Lawrence, that's why I say that he's a bust, is because he just hasn't quite met the expectations. And that's unfair to him, but it's the reality of the situation, and that's why I stand by my take. But congratulations to Trevor. Happy birthday.
Yeah, but I mean, if you look at the numbers, Shaun, 36 as a rookie, 41 sophomore year, 4,000 flat as the third year. Last year he was hurt, led him to a playoff victory, and then this year for them to be 4-1. So he's progressively getting better. When he's playing 17 games, he's going to give you, what's the average? Probably 38,000 yards passing. So he's going to be able to sling it. And for that first year to have an Urban Meyer who was, kicking players during practice, it was just a rough go. And then Doug Peterson, having to figure out all this hype coming off Philadelphia. Maybe he just hasn't had the right situation, but now he has an offensive-minded coach with him, and he's been able to show flashes without having an offensive-minded coach. So to have, guys like Brian Thomas Jr., to have guys like Travis Hunter, Brenton Strange, Trevor Etienne. I know he's had Travis Etienne his whole career, but those 3 guys are all new. So we're now getting him surrounded with weapons. It takes a lot. Like Toddy mentioned a couple weeks ago when we were talking about Daniel Jones. Is Daniel Jones good, or is it just he's been on bad teams? And we see now that they're finally starting to build a culture and a winning culture. They're bringing in the right kind of guys that, everyone loves. Everyone here loves Eric Armstead, 916er. Bringing in guys that know how to win and want to win. So when you're around losers, you're going to lose. But when you're around winners, they're 4-1, beating the team that was in the Super Bowl. So, yes, he hasn't reached expectations, but there's a lot of guys we can mention with 0 playoff wins that everyone is great. We can all mention the Justin Herberts, guys that people think that they are these amazing quarterbacks, but don't do it in the playoffs. So he's 1-0 in the playoffs, and the only way he can go is up.
That's a very good point. And as you mentioned, Urban Meyer, it just made me think of the instability that Trevor Lawrence has had at the head coaching position and even at offensive coordinator throughout his NFL career. And so if there's not stability and he's always having to learn a new playbook and he's always having to learn new principles that are being installed by a new leader of the program, then, it's going to be hard to get your footing because, me personally, like I've had 3 different jobs within the last year. I left a job that I was at for 2 years last October. I went to a job that I was at for 10 months. And now I've been at my new job going on 3 months. So every single stop, I've had to learn just how those companies operate and get in the groove in which the expectations are every single week. And so Trevor Lawrence going from basically having the same situation, except he's been with the same team. It's just new management every single time. That's what ends up leading to that. And credit to the Jaguars for their back-to-back wins against the 49ers and the Chiefs. And so now joining us is none other than the Podfather, Mr. Jaevon Toddy, just in time to give us his thoughts on the Jaguars beating the Chiefs 31-28.
Toddy.
Hey, man, do balls for real. If I tell everybody it wasn't just...
Whoa, Toddy.
I don't know what is going on, but right now you are super duper raspy, and it sounds like you are in a wind tunnel.
Leave and come back, brother.
So we will hear from Jaevon in just a moment, but that was the thing. That was the thing about that 49ers and Jaguars game that it really showed me is I'm glad you mentioned Eric Armstead, Kevin, because for him to have his return to the team that he was with for 9 seasons and to make the game-winning play with the strip sack in that fourth quarter, it was, as a 49ers fan, it hurt my heart that he did that. But as a fan of Eric Armstead, the player and the person, as a Sacramentan from Pleasant Grove, as you noted, I was really happy for him. And so this Jaguars team, they might end up being legit. My biggest question is, obviously, we know the Colts or the Jaguars will make the playoffs. Hopefully, the Texans get in there too, just for the sake of my predictions. Sacramentan, yeah. You haven't heard of that term before?
I've never heard that in my life. Is that the thing?
Yeah, Sacramentan. Like a Carolinian.
Someone Oregonians, but I've never heard Sacramentan.
Yeah, like Californian, Sacramentan. So, yeah, the more you know. Jaevon, did you get out of your wind tunnel? Oh, no.
You got to restart the computer or something.
Well, that's unfortunate. Jaevon, let me try one thing from my producer feed before you leave. Let me give it one shot here. I'm going to try something. Let's click. Oh, hello. Everything's moving around. Hold on. You muted yourself. So now I'm going to unmute you.
You muted yourself again.
Nope. That was me. And okay, now Toddy, give it a shot. Hey, welcome back.
Do I sound okay?
Yes, you sound okay.
Hey, how we doing, guys, fellers? Sorry about
Doing
that.
pretty well. We appreciate you for joining us. I'm glad that you were able to corral the youngin.
Corral. Just know it's not corralled. He's detained. But the Jags, just want to say, pick the Jags to win the division. That's just me.
Yeah, but you didn't pick them to win this week.
And they're definitely going to win the division.
I picked them to win the division, definitely. We can go back and watch the tape.
He did. I remember. I was here for it.
Is the AFC South going to have 2 teams come out of this division? That's starting to look a lot more real each and each week because I'm looking at the Bengals, I'm looking at the Ravens, I'm looking at the Chiefs who are 2-3. I'm looking at the Chargers who are 500, 3-2 now. I'm no mathematician, but I know that 4-1 is better than 3-3, 1-4. The Jags are 4-1, and the Colts are also 4-1. So that means that they're about 2 games ahead of all those other teams that I just mentioned. I get it. People are like, Duval this, Duval that. Their defense causes a lot of turnovers, which puts their offense in a lot of positions to score. And we saw that tonight. Trevor Lawrence got a prayer answer with that pass interference call in the end zone, and that kind of set them up to score. And the touchdown obviously was one of those America's Funniest Home Videos type of plays, those backyard football type of plays that we saw him score. But something about the Chiefs, man, they just seem a little bit off. I mean, they've seemed off since being in Brazil. Just haven't really been able to get off tonight. People are saying, well, they don't have Xavier Worthy, and they don't have this guy. He's not there, and Taekwon Thornton's still new to the team. They're just coming up with new things, excuses to figure it's Patrick Mahomes. I'm starting to think, are they?
What is that voice?
Are they good? I don't know if the Chiefs are good. That's like a real thing. Like as a team, like their defense is kind of suspect. You just keep seeing Chris Jones get mad on the sidelines. Like we just see like we always talk about the windows and how fast they shut. And life's coming at the Chiefs fans very, very quickly. They're in new territory here. Like I said a couple weeks ago, the Chiefs are like the spoiled kid at the country club. And their card's declining, and they're saying, "Do you know how much money my father put into this club?" And right now, they're in uncharted territory. They've literally been to AFC Championship after AFC Championship after AFC Championship since Patrick Mahomes has been there. And now they're, getting beat by the Jags. They're getting beat by the Chargers. These are teams that they usually beat. These are one-score games that they're used to winning. They're on the opposite side of it. So last year I can't remember how many one-score games that they won, but it was a lot. And usually in one-score games for teams, that can decide if you're going to go to the playoffs or not. And usually the NFL, most games are usually within 1 to 2 scores. And with the Chiefs currently right now, they're just in an uncharted territory. This is pretty the team is pretty much the same as last year. I mean, obviously they don't have Rashee Rice, but I don't know how much value Rashee Rice will add to this Chiefs team. I just feel like there's just a lot of other things that they need besides another receiver. So, I mean, I'm not saying the Chiefs are not going to make the playoffs. I'm not going to be that guy that stands on that hill. But I feel like there's a lot of people who picked the Broncos to win the division, picked the Chargers to win the division. I think the Chiefs winning the division is definitely in question, but I don't think they're coming last place. They're not the Raiders. But I do see, they lost to the Chargers. Chargers already have a lead on them. The Chiefs are 2-3. They're a below 500 team right now. Patrick Mahomes below 500. Just say that 3 times. Let it resonate in your head. It's not normal. So, I mean, as far as the Jags go, man, this Jags defense, like I said earlier, they're going to cause turnovers. They're going to put their team in positions to win. And Trevor Lawrence is going to throw a pick. He has 5 picks in 5 games. He's going to throw a pick. Now, that's not good, but when he's able to reel that in, and I feel like Liam Cohen's done a great job with this offense on trying to unlock Trevor Lawrence, unlock Brian Thomas Jr., and get Travis Hunter the ball, because there's a lot of people out there in fantasy that drafted him early, and he's just giving you 3 points. So, I mean, Travis Etienne seems to be, once upon a time, Tank Bigsby was on this team, but they traded him away, and they're like, no, Etienne's the guy. Let's get him involved. And we saw what he could be a few years ago, but last year was kind of like he was disgruntled. We didn't know what they wanted to do with him. Doug Peterson wasn't utilizing him correctly, but I feel like in this offense, he's a little bit more back to what we've seen in recent memory. But I mean, this Jags, they're tied for first in their division. They're literally tied for first place. I think they're tied for first place in the AFC. They're 4-1. So I think it's the Colts. It's the Colts. Daniel Jones and Trevor Lawrence are tied for first place in the AFC. What alternate universe did Dr. Strange put us in? Because the alternate universe of Trevor Lawrence and Daniel Jones being tied for first place and Patrick Mahomes 2-3, I couldn't tell you where we are. So we're in uncharted territory just as the NFL period.
We certainly are. It's definitely a very interesting time, and I'm just laughing right now at some of these YouTube comments as cousin James, aka older brother to Julian, is in the YouTube comments right now, and he says it should have been me.
You don't know how to answer his phone, so how are we gonna bring him on the podcast?
Come on now.
He says, "Get Jew off the pod." And then he goes on to say, "Lil bro, Jew looks like he celebrated 420 like 10 minutes ago."
Oh,